on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and we're here tonight / tomorrow morning, when you probably get this, to talk about Raw 30. Raw is Xxx, whatever you want to call it. Insert porn reference here because people are strange. Doing this as a one-off because I won't be reviewing SmackDown. The next thing you guys are going to get from me is a preview for the Royal Rumble, so stay tuned for that. Please go backwards and check out the fact that I brought back Fix, but that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. This was the 30th anniversary of Raw, and they had good stuff booked. They had good legends coming in, obviously legends that made sense, legends that pissed everybody else off, and it makes me smile really, really big, because what do we say on this channel when something happens on the show that's really, really good? It's good because, say it with me, it pisses off all the right people. Oh yes. Start off, we get the signature for the show, and before we get the intro, we get Hulk Hogan. And immediately I smile. Immediately Twitter blows up, etc., etc. All he really does is welcome people to the show. He's in and out in a minute, and it's still the biggest crime ever. I will say, overall, check on your SJW friends. I'm dead serious, because it was not a good night for cancel culture tonight. Oh, yes. We then click over to the opening Raw video package, which is a really good video package. But also, they played the entire opening video package on SmackDown as an ad for this show. So as good as it is, it was also, you know, repetitive. And I will say once again, people that are mad that they're looking over the past 30 years of Raw and saw video segments with the McMahons in them, yeah, of course you did. They were heavily involved in storylines for the majority of those 30 years. And the other side of the coin, and I mentioned this in WWE last week on the last pod as well, there's a lot of people that aren't in the WWE anymore. You saw Ambrose / Moxley, you saw Jericho, you saw Bryan Danielson in that, and a lot of people seemed really surprised, and they were thinking one way or the other about it. They were reacting to it, but here's the thing. I said I was kind of surprised, and, you know, pleasantly surprised on the video when they played it on SmackDown, but I think about it more and more, and I don't know why I'm that surprised, because in this particular equation between these two particular entities, WWE is not the petty one. And yes, I know WWE has a lot of flaws, so when I say WWE is not the petty one, to quote another great podcaster, think of the ground that covers. Oh yes. The video package was great. The Raw graphics for the night were mostly old-looking closed-circuit TVs rotating through all the different Raw logos. I really like that. People thought they were going to bring back the old 3-screen thing, or the entrance that was made of the R and the A and the W. They're not gonna do that when they can do it on the screen. I get it for pay-per-views. I get it for WrestleMania and all that kind of thing. I want them to bring back pay-per-view specific entryways and stages and all that for pay-per-views. But for the weekly show, you're gonna get the weekly show screen, guys. I'm with you on a lot of things. They need to change some stuff. WWE is not perfect, but week to week they're gonna have that interchangeable screen that can go into any building. Roddy. We did not spend any time warming up in the bullpen, because as far as things that we were looking for on tonight's show, we immediately went into the Samoan trial of Sami Zayn. They replay what happened on SmackDown. Sami Zayn not getting to the party until Kevin Owens had already ran away, until after Roman Reigns had already been stunned and put through a table, etc., and was holding the contract in his hand at the end of the show on Friday. The Bloodline come out all in Samoan leis except for Sami, and they start the tribal court. Supposedly part of why this happened is it was supposed to be Afa and Sika and Samu and Rikishi and, you know, the extended Samoan family for the acknowledgement ceremony thing. Apparently Rikishi and one of the other ones, I don't know which one, so I don't want to speculate, was ill and couldn't travel. So on the one hand, it's bad because you want people to be okay and you don't want to hear about people being sick and unable to travel. And on the other hand, the fact that this story is so good that they could pivot and do this instead is absolutely phenomenal. Heyman, of all people, is the one that starts off the after Roman Reigns does the whole acknowledge me thing. We get Sami Uso chants and ECW chants because we are in Philadelphia. Heyman lays into Sami right away And he says, ECW was close to my heart, but ECW is dead, just like I wish Sami Zayn was. And it's like, okay, what's he doing here? He's a Judas, he's a traitor, he's leading us all on. He's working with Kevin Owens, and I've got the proof. And then we go into the sort of mock trial. Look at these pieces of evidence I've got. He's got videos from last year. Drew and Sheamus attacking the Usos and Sammy running away and not helping at all. Sammy had a chance to knock out KO with a chair and he didn't do it. In the War Games match, after they won, he was posing on the cage away from the rest of the bloodline, trying to get solo glory, and then he flashed that quick forever sign to Kevin Owens. He randomly in a promo sort of shoulder bumped Roman Reigns, and Paul Heyman tried to put that off as assault, which I think is hilarious. And then he says the defense rests, and Sammy gets up, and Sammy deserves an Oscar because he's already red in the eyes, he's already super upset, and he said, look, I'll be honest with you guys, I had a defense all set up for this, but after listening to Paul and all the things that he's accusing me of, the fact that he could even think of those things about me, it really hurts. How could you think any of that? How can you not see what all these people see? And the people start cheering, obviously. I had a defense, but I'm just hurt right now, and I guess I'm not going to give a defense. And this is where it got really interesting, because this is where we went from Roman being mad about what Sami Zayn had supposedly done to being mad that he wouldn't defend himself, that he wouldn't fight to stay in the bloodline, like that it meant it was so easy to walk away from, which is the opposite of what Sami Zayn was putting out there, obviously. And finally, Roman just sort of like has like a quiet scream, if that makes any sense, and he just calls for Solo, and because Solo's standing, the rest of them are sitting around that table that they typically use for what do you call it, contract signings and whatnot, but Solo is standing like a guard dog behind Roman Reigns, who used to be the big dog, so that's kind of ironic. But he sends Solo over to Sammy. Sammy's sat in his chair, sort of away from the rest of them. Solo's about to hit him with the spike, and Sami Zayn doesn't even really fight it. He doesn't try to escape. He just sort of looks like a guy walking to the gallows, like genuinely heartbroken. And he's about to hit him with the Samoan spike, and of all people, Jay stops him. And he says, with all due respect, tribal chief, I can't let you do this. I got some defense for Sami Zayn. We've seen the videos that have been carefully selected by the wise man. Now check out this stuff that I've got. And they play some highlights from last year. Sami Zayn in the recording truck playing the Roman Reigns music to distract RK Bro to help the Usos win a title. Sami Zayn taking a Claymore kick from Drew McIntyre, sort of taking the bullet for Roman Reigns. He sort of took a chair shot for Solo Sikoa as well. Sami Zayn holding back the Brawling Brutes to help them in that tag team match, and everything Sami Zayn did in War Games to hand him that victory, including nutshotting Kevin Owens and hitting him with that haluva kick. And Jay turns back to Roman. He says he's taken bullets for this whole family, and my dog is bulletproof. He turns to Sam and he says, look, I was more hard on you than anybody else, and you saw good in me, and that's what family does. I think he's innocent. And he turns to the crowd and he says, if you think Sami Zayn's innocent, put those ones up in the air. Everybody in the crowd obviously puts the ones up in the air. Jimmy stands up next to his brother and he puts his one up in the air as well. There's huge Sammy Uso chants. Roman Reigns finally thinks about it and he says, I find you not guilty. For now. He says, you need to thank this man because he just saved you from the gallows, pretty much. He says, we're going to finish out tonight and then I don't want to see you again until Saturday. Saturday's the Royal Rumble, and Saturday is going to be your final test. And as they're leaving, and it's sort of, the segment's already over, really, but you see Jay and Jimmy sort of hugging Sammy, and Jay, the one that needed the most convincing about Sami Zayn's intentions in the bloodline at all, the one who just saved him from the Samoan spike, is the one that takes his lay off and gives it to Sami Zayn. I thought that was fucking brilliant. Thought this whole segment was fucking brilliant. I didn't know, side note, that they had announced that the first hour of the show was going to be commercial free as well. That was one of those things where I'm like, okay, where are they going to stick in a commercial break? Oh, they're not doing that. Fantastic, because the next thing we see is the Judgment Day coming out, because we have, on top of all this family drama, we have the long-awaited Raw Tag Team Championship match with the Judgment Day taking on the Usos. Obviously, Solo leaves, Heyman leaves, Roman leaves, so you've got Priest and Dominic Mysterio in the ring, with Rhea Ripley out at ringside and Finn Balor out at ringside, and you've got the Usos there with Sami Zayn still in his corner, and he's on, like, he's nervous, he knows he just got a stay of execution, but he's also, like, hyper as hell and feeling, like, really close to his brother, so it's two or three different things at once that he's trying to play off. Anyways, getting into the tag team match itself, starts off, as you would think, Damian Priest taking on the majority of the work for his team, Dominic Mysterio being very Dominic Mysterio, and the Usos being the great tag team they are. Priest pounces Jimmy over the commentator's table at one point. Judgment Day take on control for a little while, including some cheap shots from the outside from Balor and Ripley. There's a crazy hot tag from Jay for a while, but then Priest takes on the Usos in a pretty prolonged one-on-two segment in the match. Inside out senton on both of the Usos by Priest. Doomsday Device by the Judgment Day was a nice touch. Didn't see that coming. Super kick party by the Usos because Usos better. Balor crotches Jey Uso in the corner. He gets caught. He gets ejected. Then we go to Jimmy on the other side of the ring, who's injured. And I thought for a second that this was actually a thing, because they had just put this big story together, and if anybody in this match actually got injured that wasn't supposed to, that would be the biggest, like, rise up and let down ever. But Jimmy's injured on the outside. Pierce comes out with a microphone saying, like, look, you know what the rules say, this is a title match. If you can't continue, you have to forfeit those titles. And then Sami Zayn says, no. That Uso is injured. This Uso isn't. Let me fight for them. Let me fight for my brothers. And yes, this would be a little bit of a chintzy add-in if they hadn't set the precedent for this in the gauntlet match when they let the Judgment Day, their current opponents, do the exact same thing. Pierce has to say, look, if it was good for your opponents, I guess it's good for you as well. He lets Sami Zayn in the match. Suicide senton on both members of the Judgment Day by Sami as he enters the match. Ripley distracts and it allows Priest to hit a South of Heaven and Dominic Mysterio to almost get a roll-up with feet on the ropes and Rhea Ripley helping him and all that. Rhea Ripley jumps in the ring once again, face-to-face with Jey Uso this time, allows a 619 and a splash from Dominic Mysterio, but the new Usos, I guess, gather themselves up pretty quickly for the most emphatic 1D we've ever seen in our lives, and Sami and Jey get the win. The Usos, quote-unquote, are still both sets of tag team champions. And it's funny because the referee hands them the belts to hold up, and first of all, Sami doesn't look like he wants to hold them. Second of all, he got handed both blue belts, while Jimmy got handed both red belts. And they pose, they do the pose, but it's awkward because it's supposed to be one of each and all that kind of thing. And then he hands all the belts to him, and we go from the end of the segment. Now, if the segment before hadn't gone the way it went and hadn't gone as well as it had gone, I was really intrigued by all the possibilities of Judgment Day picking up those belts. Now, ideally, I would love the combination from the Judgment Day to be Priest and Balor, but it is what it is. This was all fantastic. This was almost the first third of the show, it feels like. I mean, it wasn't. There was other stuff that happened in the first hour, but this is Oscar-worthy shit. This is, Tony-worthy shit. This is Daytime Emmy-worthy shit. And a lot of the credit has to go to Sami Zayn, but Sami Zayn is only as good as all the characters playing all their different parts. When Jay put his finger up in the air and Jimmy followed it in the opening segment, I was really expecting that Solo was going to have like a long pause and put his hand up as well, but I guess that doesn't really work with his like immediate guard dog of the tribal chief thing. And what it's going to do is it's going to mean that in the bloodline, Paul Heyman's going to be outnumbered, which is an interesting story, except that can't lead to a match because Paul Heyman's not a wrestler. All of this was absolutely great. Gaslighting to the night. I hate that term in real life because anything that anybody doesn't like to hear in real life gets put under the gaslighting banner. In the course of this particular story, it's all good. It all works. Obviously, we know what the last test is going to be at the Royal Rumble. I put it up on Twitter. They released the, what do you call it? the artwork for the front row chairs for Elimination Chamber, and it's just Sami Zayn's face pressed against the plexiglass. So I don't know what that's an indicator of, but we'll get there when we get there. Now, we had the biggest story of the night blow up nice and early, which I think was probably a good thing. Now you sort of get into some of the fun stuff, the anniversary show stuff, the reunion show stuff. We had Hogan at the beginning, and I didn't mention he had Jimmy, Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart with him as well. Nobody really said anything about that because they were too busy crying that Hogan is still allowed to live and breathe, even though they don't like him, whatever. In the back, we got JBL, Baron Corbin talking to the Godfather, and the Godfather is standing guard outside a door. What's happening behind the door? It's another poker game, which is going to drive a lot of people nuts. Poker games hosted by Ron Simmons, and they're all trying to get into the poker game. And the Godfather, JBL, and Ron Simmons are all joking around, and they look at JBL and they say, you know, who's the scruff type thing. He's not on the list. He can't be on the list. And then he pulls out a couple piles of money. He's like, oh, you can probably come in and join the poker party. It's fine. But they had the door. They had the door with the frame that goes nowhere. The APA door. It's really good. Except they don't call Bradshaw anymore, and they don't call Farouk anymore. But, you know, we take what we can get. I mean, it's an anniversary show. The lines between Raw and SmackDown are already blurred enough, so why not have LA Knight? Yeah. He comes out, he takes the piss out of the Firefly Funhouse, calls Bray Wyatt an incel because yay, buzzwords. Talks about the fact that it's Raw 30 and that whole backstage area is full of legends living on their past glory, just like Wyatt. So why doesn't a legend come out and face me tonight so I can show you what Wyatt has to look forward to on Saturday in the pitch black match? He basically lays out a Legends Open challenge, and the gong goes off. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? And then it switches over to Kid Rock, proper like Kid Rock entrance, not the you've done it now, you've gone and made a big mistake. They actually got the Kid Rock music because it was American Badass Undertaker. Because, I'm sorry, at this point, now that he's going around and doing talking engagements and whatever, him being the spooky demon guy, probably is going to start working less and less. But him coming out as the American Badass, which is basically just a dude, kind of worked. Kind of worked. Huge pop, obviously. He says, I agree with you, Dead Man. I heard you on some show. I can't think of the guy's name now. He was on some podcast talking about how today's wrestlers are soft, that today's locker room is soft. You know, everybody else is soft, but not me. I agree with you. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and give you a pass tonight, Undertaker, because if I didn't give you a pass tonight, we could make a whole lot of history. I could be the guy that sent the Undertaker to the Undertaker. Yeah. And then he's going up the stage, and then the lights go out, and the Bray Wyatt music hits, and Bray Wyatt's. I really like Bray Wyatt's music. I know it's another Code Orange song, I think, and people are saying that that's becoming cliche, but it works. It's fine. You're fine. Just say you don't like the spooky stuff, and don't try to say you're doing that with any analysis in your head whatsoever. Just say it's not your thing, and move on. Wyatt shows up on the stage with the lantern and chases LA Knight back into the ring. It looks like Undertaker's going to give him a choke slam, which would immediately set off all the wrestling fans into a tizzy, because that's what they do. Oh my god, a legend came back to bury somebody. Meanwhile, you're all cheering on Sting in AEW, so go fuck yourselves. He doesn't give him a choke slam, though. He sort of looks eye to eye with Bray Wyatt and sort of by the throat hands him to Bray Wyatt so Bray Wyatt can hit the Sister Abigail. And then he sort of leans into him and he says something, like some encouraging words or whatever. And I love the fact that people online, people that are not having like super shitty bad takes, are saying that they basically used LA Knight as the literal torch to pass from the Undertaker to Bray Wyatt. That's a nice touch, but the stare down between Bray Wyatt and the Undertaker was fucking. It's never gonna happen. Undertaker's done. It's fine, but it's still cool. I don't care. Back in the poker game, Medusa, DDP, Baron Corbin, JBL, and the Alpha Academy are all playing poker. Medusa's got the old women's championship, and somebody comes up behind her. I don't remember who it was. It might have been DiBiase, for all I know. But he said, "Didn't you throw that in the trash?" And it's just like, okay, all right. She pulled it out. She came to the Hall of Fame and literally made pulling it out of the trash part of her acceptance speech. So we can get over that. It's fine. Bayley and Becky in the steel cage was something I was looking forward to tonight, and it basically didn't happen. Really lame. I get it. People are going to complain about this, and I'll throw my hands up in the air and I say I can't really fight you on that one. Bayley comes down to the ring with damage control. Damage control are outside the cage, and as Becky comes down, they attack her outside the cage. They make her eat the side of the cage. Then she gets put in the cage for a 3-on-1 beatdown in the cage, keeping her from any help. I really thought that they were going to do this to have, like, a legend come out or have a new return come in or whatever. Or, like, it would be one of those things on a... on an anniversary show where, like, Lita comes and makes the save or something like that, and Becky Lynch and Lita stand tall, or Becky, Lita, and Trish stand tall for a night or something like that. But they didn't. They just beat the ever-loving piss out of Becky Lynch, and then they posed on the top of the... They posed on the top of the cage, all three of them, as Adam Pearce is, like, fumbling with bolt cutters. So that was lame. That was really lame. That's the four of them are going to brawl within the confines of the Royal Rumble match itself on Saturday. I'm sure of it. I don't think at this point we're getting any other matches added to the Royal Rumble card. As I said, stay tuned. Later this week we'll do the previews for the Royal Rumble so that I can say Cody's going to win, Ripley's going to win, and here's what I think about these other matches. Let's be real. We get the announcement. Apparently it was made on social media earlier, but this is where I found out that Theory versus Lashley was not only going to be the main event, but it was also now going to be a no disqualification match. So there's a little bit of an angle alert right there. Then we get a segment that was fun. It was all kinds of fun, and it's the kind of fun that people who want to shit on WWE will always take the piss out of. DX comes out, and they get their DX entrance, and they get their DX announcement from the ring announcer. What they don't announce is that Kurt Angle is coming out with them. And I really thought that they were going to do like a Kurt Angle's being a stand-in for Billy Gunn, because we know Tony Khan is super petty and wouldn't let Billy Gunn come to the last reunion, so he couldn't come to this one either. But Road Dogg goes to do the ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, da-da-da. And then he goes like, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, and he says, Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle just sits there in his, little ironic Kurt Angle face. Is like, I've always wanted to be a member of DX, and he's got his tap out shirt on. He takes that off. There's a DX shirt on underneath, and that is foreshadowing, my friends. Triple H does the whole, let's get ready to suck it, except they don't get to that because they're cut off by, of all people, Imperium. Because, as I say, the boundaries of who's on what show didn't apply tonight, which is absolutely fine. We can absolutely survive that. Walter does his typical thing. You guys are just, bringing filth and nonsense into this ring. This mat is sacred. We're here to kick you out, da-da-da-da. And they didn't get buried by DX. Triple H is like, hey, I'm retired, and Shawn Michaels is like, I'm old, and then Road Dogg goes to step up to him and says, who the fuck am I kidding? X-Pac talks about having shin splints, and he can't have a match, and it's fine. None of them want to fight Imperium. So all of them, here's all these Hall of Famers that are putting over Imperium. They'll never get the credit for it, because it's not popular to like DX anymore, but they are. Every single one of them is like, yeah, we're not going to fuck with you. It's just not going to happen. If only there was somebody else that would take on Imperium. And Seth Rollins comes out, and then they say, well, you can't take on Imperium 1-on-3. If only there was a tag team that could come out here and tag team with Seth Rollins. And out come the Street Profits. Again, lots of fun. Lots of obnoxious people that Imperium would want to fight, would want to kick out of their, sacred ring, if you want to put it that way. Triple H makes a joke about booking being really hard, and how can we sort all this out. Teddy Long comes out on the rampway to tell us that it's going to be a tag team match, playa. And then the final thing is, well, this sounds like a great match. Imperium versus Seth Rollins and the Street Profits and all that sounds great. It sounds like it's going to be hectic, though. We need a special referee. And who can we get? Finally, Kurt Angle takes off his shirt again. He's got a red, white, and blue referee shirt on because, of course, he does. Jerry the King Lawler comes out on commentary, which, say it again with me, say it loud, say it proud. It pisses off all the right people. And we have a fun six-man tag. I don't really know what you want me to say about the tag match itself. The Street Profits did ankle locks. Seth Rollins did a pedigree. A bit of tribute stuff, which is absolutely fine. The faces get the win. It is what it is. In the back, Corbin wins a bunch of money from the $1 Million Man, and it all gets taken away by IRS. And Farouk says, damn. Alright, then we get more people getting upset because Ric Flair came out on the show that he wrestled on, like Hulk Hogan wrestled on, like DX wrestled on, to make the show what it was for the past 30 years. But how dare he come out and show his face? We've decided that we don't like him. We've decided he's not allowed to have a career. We've decided he's not allowed to exist. Ric Flair comes out, tips his hat to the 30-year history of Monday Night Raw, and talks about how proud he is of his daughter, and introduces Charlotte Flair. Oh my God, how offensive. How will we ever get past this? Charlotte Flair comes out, talks about her participation in the past, however many years of Raw, talks about the women's revolution, talks about how she was proud to go from a diva to a 14-time champion, talks about all the other women she's gotten to share the ring with, and gives them a lot of credit. And then Bianca Belair comes out. Why? Why? Bianca Belair, who's supposed to be your big, crazy, oh my God, she's untouchable babyface, basically comes out to say, no, Queen, this is my show. Wah. Yeah, it's fine. Sonya Deville comes out, shoots on both of them. Charlotte says, well, okay, fine, this is your show. Do you want to deal with this garbage? And Bianca Belair versus Sonya is set up, and Belair wins, because of course she does. Now tell me this, folks. If Sonya Deville was moving to Raw, then I would sort of be okay. It would still be a burial, but tell me how, while Sonya Deville is pursuing Charlotte Flair, having the champion from the other show that she can't really get any comeuppance on, burying her, does anything for anybody. I said it on Twitter, and I don't mind repeating it here. Is the Bianca Belair steamroller so hungry that she can go ahead and bury somebody that doesn't make any sense, that doesn't do anything for her title reign, actually detracts from the match that she has coming up on Saturday, and isn't going anywhere because she's on a different show? Why? Senseless. Absolutely senseless. Now, I know Bianca Belair has a match coming up on Saturday, and Charlotte Flair, as from the looks of it anyway, doesn't, because she's defended the title on SmackDown. But I don't know why you had to bury somebody that's pursuing an entirely different title on an entirely different story in an entirely different show, just for the sake of Bianca Belair, who has already been handed everything. My God. We got another Cody Rhodes video. It's fine. It's wonderful. I think it's kind of hilarious that people said that Triple H, if he took over WWE, would bury Cody Rhodes, when he's giving him the same build-up and Hero's Return and video package treatment that he himself got when he came back from his 2 torn quads. So, it's not really true. And then we get the first trailer for WWE 2K23, and John Cena's on the cover. And he's the career mode in this year's game, so I'm like, okay, whatever. I will say, separate from the trailer, separate from what they said on Raw tonight, what I read, and I want to give the credit where it's due, I think I read it on No DQ, so shout out to them if it actually was them. Apparently they are including the War Games match in this year's game, so that's something. That's a legitimate change to the game that I could actually look forward to. Miz comes out, and I'm looking at the time, and there's like almost no time left. Miz comes out, I thought it was Miz TV, but it's just him talking. 30 years of Monday Night Raw, where's all my accolades? Where's all my moments? Where's all my ascension to awesomeness? Kevin Owens just crawls in from the crowd and gives him a stunner, and delivers a very quick promo to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns has held the title hostage for 2 years, but I'm going to kill myself on Saturday trying to take that from him and put an end to that and give you guys a champ you can all be proud of. And just as he's leaving, Miz gets up from the stunner, eats another stunner, because why not bury the Miz? Miz is not appreciated enough in his time for his contributions, and we will miss him when he is gone. Quote me on that. Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley in a no disqualification United States Championship match is your main event. And I'm really glad they did something with this, because the match itself was pretty standard fare. Pretty standard match. Eventually, Theory props up a chair in the corner, ends up eating it himself, goes under the ring, hits Bobby Lashley with the spray from the fire extinguisher to throw him into the steps. He counters the Hurt Lock with a low blow and then gets thrown through a table. Lesnar's music hits, and I'm sorry, it's just this fast. Lesnar's music hits, he comes to the ring, he F5s Bobby Lashley, he F5s Theory onto Bobby Lashley, which I guess counts as a pin. 1, 2, 3, Theory is still your champion, and I can't pretend to be excited about another round of Lesnar versus Lashley. I mean, the rumor of Gunther versus Lesnar was really, really intriguing. I really could have sunk my teeth into that. But Austin Theory is still your champion, and it's kind of cool if he holds on to the belt until Mania, because the rumor is that he is the John Cena match for WrestleMania. For entertainment purposes, I will keep saying this, I would be much more interested from a pure entertainment point of view in what we would get from the rumored John Cena versus Logan Paul match. But then I don't know who you put Theory in at WrestleMania with, because I would be 100% okay with one more round of Theory versus Rollins, because I think their matches were great. I don't think most of the audience is up for another round of that. I think I might be on an island with that one. But yeah, Lashley ate shit, and then Theory, the winner, the still champion, the #and still, is unconscious on top of Lashley at the hands of Lesnar, and then we basically cut to black, so I think they ran out of time. But, guys, what do you want me to say here? Was everything on here like 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome stuff, brother? No, but we had some legends. We had like some shit that made sense. We had DX didn't bury anybody. They actually just came down, said their catchphrases, set up a nice, fun 6-man with Kurt Angle, who I think we all still like. Taker came down. He didn't bury anybody. He sort of passed a torch on to Bray Wyatt, which is nice, except if you're one of the weirdos out there that are mad that Bray Wyatt is back. The Bloodline stuff is fantastic. The Bloodline stuff is what we were all looking forward to tonight on this show, and that delivered. It pulled me away from, hey, I'm really, really intrigued with what happens if the Judgment Day win this title match, and just went, yeah, Sami Uso just defended the tag team championships. We're going to be absolutely fine. This was a really fun show. If you're miserable about this match, if you're about this show, if you're bitching about this show, it's because you're choosing to be miserable. It's because you're choosing to be upset that people that have contributed to these shows for so long, from some of them a lot longer than 30 years, got to come out and wave or say a catchphrase, or God forbid be proud of their daughter, or something like that. And the rest of them were in the back doing like cheesy comedy skits that hurt nobody. So I had a lot of fun with this. I hope you guys had a lot of fun with this. Like I say, this is a one-off sort of throwaway review, seeing as I'm not doing a proper episode of WWE last week. This week, you guys will hear from me. I will be predicting, or I guess previewing the Royal Rumble. Like I said, I'll be saying, hey, Cody Rhodes is going to win, Rhea Ripley's going to win, and here's what I think of the other matches, because that's what that's going to look like. And I don't really know how to sign this off. I've been rambling for quite a bit. I've been rambling for 33 minutes. I've been rambling for 33 minutes about a 3-hour show, so that's almost ironic, isn't it? Does it count as ironic? I don't really know. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.